It's the weekend.
Warriors.
Warriors, come on to play.
Yeah, here we go.
Good Saturday morning, everybody. We are broadcasting live from the Weekend Warriors studios in beautiful Peoria, Arizona, and points beyond. I am Ralph Romano. Alongside my partners in crime, we've got the legendary Philip Emerine and Mr. Luke. I got that neck jiggle right. And this is the Weekend Warriors.
Hard to see under the beard, but I love that you're looking that close. Yes, absolutely. And then if you want to join the Weekend Warriors, not the weekend, where you're kind of forced to join that one, but if you want to join the Weekend Warriors, you can of course join us across the social media spectrum, wherever it is that you're watching us right now live. That could be on X, that could be on Instagram, that could be on Facebook, that could be on YouTube, perhaps LinkedIn, Ralph, perhaps.
No.
Okay, so not that one. Not that one. However, we do have a fun show to get to because as it inevitably happens every freaking week, guys. Stuff happens in between the time that we talk. And this next part that we're going to talk about in the MLB happened almost immediately upon us departing from one another. We've got a big trade deadline in MLB to get a hold of. And we're going to start exactly where you think we're going to start. Ralph is excited for it. Ralph was beating his chest over it.
No, he wasn't.
And he was just saying this is inevitable. So, guys, how do we feel about Foster Griffin going to the Cleveland Guardians?
I'm pumped about Foster Griffin.
He's going to do so good there. He might be the next LeBron of Cleveland.
There we go. All right, guys, let's be real. Tarek Skubal makes his way down to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And there are people that are in baseball defending this, saying that this was quite a haul. Certainly amongst those is Ralph Romano. And of course, you have an added starting pitcher to an already deep rotation. I'm going to go to you first, Ralph. What does this mean for the Dodgers, and why did they make this move?
Well, I think why they made this move. Now, again, it's a good move. It's not a needed move, but it was a good move. Why they made it is because, honestly, they didn't give up much for him. It was really cheap, the price. And the reason it was so cheap, you got to remember, this is a rental, right? At this point, this is purely a rental. There's no guarantees he's coming back next season. I think once he gets a taste of the Dodgers and taste of winning a title, he'll want to come back, but you never know. But it's purely a rental. So, I mean, the Dodgers would have been dumb to not go get him for what they got him for. Why wouldn't you? You gave up not much for him. So I think that's why it happened. I'm surprised that no other teams were able to offer a better package. And if there were ones out there that did, that we don't even know about, I'm thinking maybe Skubal just wanted to win a ring. And that's why he figured, I'm going to the Dodgers. This is where I want to go. And he worked it out, and it happened with the Tigers. As far as what it means for the Dodgers, it's just depth. It's more depth in that rotation. I mean, so now you got him, you got Snell, you got Yamamoto, you got Glass now, you got Ohtani. I mean, you've got 5 guys. That's not even counting Roboleski, who's having a great year, was an all-star. But you got 5, 6 starters right now that are just sick. Maybe the best rotation in baseball ever. We can have that conversation. But it may be the best rotation ever. So it just made a lot of sense for them for what they paid and what they've got. And now in a series where you typically go down to 3 starters, typically. So what does that mean? Does that mean Skubal, Yamamoto, and Ohtani are the 3 guys you get to face? And then if you get up a big lead in the series, now you can go to a Glass now or a Snell. I don't. This is crazy. I think you're going to see these huge starters that are just unbelievable. And now you've got other starters that are great that you're probably going to see in middle relief. This is just insane for the playoffs. I mean, I don't know, honestly. I don't care what's going on. I don't know who beats this team in a 7-game series. I don't think you can, not with that pitching. It's just, if Otani comes out and has a bad start, you pull him after the first inning and you bring another one of your great starters in. I mean, it's that kind of scenario now. So I just don't know how this team loses. I just don't. Unless the plane crashes, I'm not really sure how it's going to happen.
Well, I can. I've got about 7 different ways that the Dodgers can lose, but we'll talk about that in a moment.
That was good.
Thank you. Luke, to you, are you disappointed? You can go anywhere you want, but I at least want to prompt you with this. Are you disappointed in other teams not ponying up more for Skubal, if nothing else, to get him away from the Dodgers?
Yes, to me, that was the headline of all of this. It wasn't that that Skubal went to the Dodgers. It was that nobody else bothered to try, because you cannot legitimately tell me that other clubs couldn't have offered something better than this.
Yeah.
You just can't tell me that. I refuse to believe it. And you should be offering it purely for the fact of, like you said, making sure the Dodgers don't get Skubal. I think that's the only reason why the Dodgers actually even went for him, to be perfectly honest. I mean, they got him so cheap that it was a no-brainer once the Tigers said yes. But if I'm the Dodgers, I'm always at least attempting to go for him so that I don't give a rival. I don't give the Braves, I don't give the Cubs, I don't give them the option of having an elite starter like that. So I'm at least trying, because I'm either making them pay more for him or I'm knocking them out of getting him entirely. But the fact that they were able to, this is the equivalent of going to an auction. You see a nice building, a nice car, a nice something, and you're like, I like that, but I can't afford that. And so you throw out a bid for half the value of what it actually is. And then everybody else in the room just kind of silently sits there quietly until you hear the auctioneer say, sold for 2 bits of string and a nickel. And
that's interesting.
Can I humbly? It's the analogy is whenever you go and you just see somebody, you're like, oh, that's a trip to Aruba. I'll bet $100, and then you just did not plan your life around going in a month to Aruba, and you're like, I can't say no to going on a trip to $100. It's just very inconvenient for me at the current moment in time. But nobody else bid more than $100 in the silent auction.
You think it's because, Luke? Do you think it's because people didn't want to get into a bidding war and just said, just let them have it?
I think that was part of it. I think another big part of it was so many teams, I think, just kind of decided ahead of time they couldn't afford it. And so they already went to go for other people. I think that, like, if you look at someone like the Cubs or somebody else, like, they went for swings, they got other pieces, and because they had just assumed, I'm not going to be able to afford Skubal. And then by the time they realized, oh, wait, I could get in on this, they'd already spent elsewhere. They'd already had plans for everything else. And I do think the fact that he is a rental probably did help the Dodgers a lot in this competition. But yeah, I'm more upset not that the Dodgers got him. That sucks as a Diamondbacks fan. But I'm not upset at the Dodgers for getting him. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're building the best team they physically can with the pieces they're given. I am very upset that nobody else was willing to offer anything to stop the Dodgers from getting him.
And I do think it's odd that the Tigers didn't wait until the last moment to kind of generate more, right? I think that speaks to the idea that there is validity in that the rest of the league does want Dodger prospects. Like, I think that's like, they respect so much the organization and their valuation skills that not only do the Dodgers keep having assets and still, even now, post this trade, still have a farm system that is enviable. I think it's worth something to be said that the rest of the league does desire their farm system and their evaluating skills to where they'll take 3 darts to throw at the dartboard, so to speak, over whatever anybody else is making. But I will say, shame and poo-poo on everybody else not doing this, especially somebody like the Brewers. Like, you look at the Brewers, and they're a team that they are in completely different world from the Dodgers. Do you know how much and what it would mean for that fan base, for that location, for that city, for that state, if the Brewers were to win the World Series? It would mean everything. The Dodgers, this is just a crowning achievement on top of what the organization has already done. So it's not, But for the Brewers, who haven't won in a corn shuck of a time, like they have just, for them to balk at the idea of saying, no, we're going to do this the right way. We're going to grow our team internally like we have, when they have just for so long until last season just not been relevant and been in the conversation that this is finally a year where you might have a shot. You might have an ability to do so. And you just limply allow the Dodgers to, I mean, honestly, there's a case to be made that the Dodgers themselves didn't even want this. They just were given it. They were gifted it. We're saying we're going to make a respectable offer because anytime any of this happens, it's good for the team. It's good for the brand. Like, and it's good for the team in that it shows and puts forth a message that we're always going for it. But we're not going to give you our best offer. And the fact that you weren't able to do something that actually hurt, that if this were to not go correct and you were to get Scooble, like, I think that it's just deplorable on the half of Milwaukee specifically, the Phillies by proxy, and any other team that just really allow this to happen, because this feels like an allowance on the part of the rest of the league, and really makes you wonder whether or not it's a accumulation of things where Dodger prospects are valued, as well as the fact that Scooble's a rental and you don't know what the holdout's going to be. So
if you look at it, they gave up Zaire Hope, who's okay. River Ryan, who's coming off a major arm surgery, got a ton of potential, but he's coming off that surgery. You don't know what you got.
And the gem.
With another pitcher. They didn't give up guys like Josh DePaula, or James Tibbs. I mean, really high prospects that they have. They didn't give them up. So to both your points, how could you not do this? He's like, you offered him $5 for something and he goes, yeah, sure. Okay. If you'll take it, I'll do it. Because I don't think they were going to put it out there, but they weren't like gung ho at we need Tariq Skubal, because they didn't. And they don't, even to this day, they don't need him.
And Ralph, if you listen to the rumors that were happening even before the season, this wasn't even the best Dodgers offer. Like there were thoughts that there was an offer for this prior to the season beginning, with other pitching prospects, even on their team for Skubal. Like they were looking to upgrade. They were going to give up some of their pitching rotation. I'll have to look up. I want to make sure before I do. But to your point, this was not even the best offer that the Dodgers themselves could or had made in the past.
And what people are misinformed. I don't want to call them stupid, even though they are. They're misinformed. They're sitting there saying, well, the Dodgers are ruining baseball because they have all the money. Money had nothing to do with this. This is just a trade, and they didn't even offer them a lot, and they said yes. Anybody could have done this. This is not a dollar specific trade. That's not why this happened. It wasn't because of money. It wasn't because of their ownership. It was because they have good prospects. These three guys maybe on another organization would be top guys, but they're not in the Dodger organization. They're good guys. So you can't use that language and say they're ruining baseball because they have all this money. No, that's not what they did. That's not what this is even about. This is a totally different scenario. Educate yourself on trades.
Yeah, Glasnow was supposedly in a preseason trade for Skubal.
I've heard that.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, I it sounds like it's on the part of, like, it's a dual benefit on behalf of the rest of the league to both blame the Dodgers and then allow this to happen, where they just use them as a shield of, see, the Dodgers get everything, when really there is an argument to be made that the Dodgers could have used this anyways. Okay.
Brewers could have easily done this.
Brewers easily could have
beat the farm system to do this. They didn't do it.
It just would have hurt them, because they're a team that uses those prospects. And I would argue that one championship is worth resetting the rest of your roster. But what am I? Who am I to say, I guess? Let's go for the Phillies. After Bryce Harper had said that the Phillies do need to get some help here in the trade deadline, they do just that, both in trading for Caleb Killian and probably more star-studded Luis Reyes, who has been a 3-time batting champion with 3 different franchises, and joins his 5th team in the past 5 seasons. So he's been on the move, but he certainly adds to that lineup that is already pretty loaded. Let's go with you, Luke. What do you see about these moves for the Phillies? Is this enough to, I guess, even secure their playoff berth?
I think that this is an interesting move. I want to say, let me just go ahead and pull something up here as I talk. Yeah, they're 8.5 games back of the Braves. They're probably not going to catch them for the division, but they're tied with the Diamondbacks for the second and third wild card spots. They lose the tiebreakers to the D-backs, so they are in the third right now. They are 2 games ahead of the Padres. I think that this is something that it's good, it's helpful. I don't know if it necessarily solves their bigger need. I don't know if enough about Caleb Killian to know how much help he will really provide. I mean, he's got a 5 ERA on the season. So obviously this trade was very much for Larissa Arazi. But I just, it's a good move. It is a good move. I just don't know if it solves your problem. Like, if you look at runs scored versus runs allowed for them, they have 516 runs scored, 515 runs allowed. They have quite a few runs allowed more than a lot of other teams on this list. So it's like maybe we needed to get better stopping other people from scoring rather than increasing our own offense. But at the end of the day, if you hit more bombs and you get on base more, I guess that will help solve your problem in a different way. Overall, I like the move. I just don't know if this is the move that really solves it, but it might be enough to keep them in the wild card discussion.
Ralph, did this do anything on your I'm scared, give me a blankie meter for the Dodgers as far on the part of the Phillies? Does this move that?
No, this was a very underwhelming move. Their need is starting pitching depth, not a batting champion. So they didn't address their biggest need. So yeah, you got Luis Arias, who's he can hit. That's great. Caleb Killian, he's an okay reliever. Brooks Riley, okay. That's great. You gave yourself a little bullpen depth, not great depth, but you got depth. But you have a need in the starting rotation and you didn't fill it. This is a underwhelming move. I understand you want a batting champion. That's great and all that, but you didn't address what your real need was. And that's what I don't understand. Why didn't you go after a starting pitcher? That's what you needed. So it doesn't move the mark for me at all.
Let's go down to the scorching hot Boston Red Sox trading for Adley Rutschman, who's scorching hot in the hospital bed because this guy has just been on the IL for forever. So it's kind of interesting that that the Boston Red Sox are trading in for a catcher who seems perennially on the IL. Of course, recently his wrist is scorching hot due to wrist inflammation. However, he does draw walks and is also being traded within division. So, I mean, you got one thing of, I don't know if this still rings true or if it rings as true in baseball, but whenever you trade within division, at least in the NFL, that really says something that you're willing to face that guy a lot. So I guess to you, Ralph, Boston Red Sox make a move. They seem to be the only team in the AL who's made headway towards actually becoming a contender in spite of themselves. Does this do anything for you?
We should play back the show when we were saying who to watch in the AL, and I said, oh, yeah, the Boston Red Sox, which I looked really bad in the beginning of the year, but it looks really smart now.
Yeah.
Adley Rutschman is a good get. Gave up way too much for him, my opinion. You gave up 3 of your top prospects to get this guy. Don't think that's a really good move. I mean, I understand why you got him. I don't like giving up that kind of future for that level player. That's just me. I give it a C+, B- grade, to be honest with you. I think they could have done better and given up less. But this is what teams do sometimes. They give up way too much for a certain player and it hurts them down the road. And I think that's what this is.
Luke?
Unfortunately, I have to agree with Ralph here. You gave up a ton of prospects, good prospects, for a guy who is playing fewer and fewer games every year. He's really only played 2 full seasons, his second and third year. Last year, he didn't break 100 games played. This year, I don't think he's particularly trending towards breaking 100 games played. So he's great when he plays, but are we really going to give up this many good, high quality prospects for a guy who, if you're lucky, might play 2/3 of the season? No, that's not what you give up that much talent to acquire. So even though the Red Sox are playing significantly better, and they're going to probably make a fun playoff playoff run this year, I don't think that this move really helps them long term. And to be honest, if he doesn't play, it doesn't really help them short term. So I'm not fully unless they have, some sort of magic healing ability in Boston. I don't really see this trade working out for them very well.
It's called Sam Adams. Soak everything in it. There we go. All right. Speaking of another team that is in the contention of scaring the Dodgers silly, the Cubs here made a trio of pitching moves here in the trade deadline here. Clay Holmes. Ralph, do you want to take Ryan Z? Is it Zaffaran? Ryan Zaffaran? Is that it?
Jefferson?
There we go. And then, of course, highlighted by Kevin Gausman. Cubs were number one with a bullet. Of the teams that seem to be contenders are totally fine, except for that little thing of they needed pitching. So they definitely went out and addressed their biggest need. This was their biggest weakness heading into the trade deadline. Is this something that feels like it fortifies and makes the team whole to where they are a complete unit that you are now fully fearful of?
No, but these are good moves.
These were good moves.
Right? So Kevin Gausman's a Blue Jay, please. But still, he's a decent pitcher. Clay Holmes, another good starter. Braxton Garrett's a project, so I'm not putting any much into him. But so you picked up Gausman and Holmes. Those are good mid-tier pitchers, I think. People might even say Gausman's an upper mid-tier. This is what they needed. They needed pitching. So they were kind of in the same boat as some other teams that needed pitching. So they went out and got it. So I'll applaud them for that. It makes them better. Does it scare me as a Dodger fan? Absolutely. Nobody scares me as a Dodger fan. I don't think there's anybody that could even compete with them in a series. But regardless, this is a really good move for the Cubs. This is a move that gets them to the brink, I think. A smart move. They did a good job getting what they needed to be competitive and take a shot at the Dodgers. So I think this is I give these moves probably an A-. Good job.
A-. That's pretty heady over there. Luke, do you want to go for an A+?
I don't know if I go for an A+. I think I hate that we're in sync here today, Ralph. I agree with everything he said. You didn't swing for the fences. Skubal would have been better than either of these players individually, or even honestly, Skubal's better than all of them combined.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you got a
All right. It seems like Luke is. Yeah, I think so. If you and I are still, oh,
there he is.
Oh, am I back?
Yep.
You're back. You're back.
Okay, I'm
All
back. To summarize everything I just said, Ralph is correct. You got a couple mid-level people for a playoff push, and you did your job. You just didn't do anything spectacular.
All right.
Okay.
It seems as if you both are in favor of the move. If not, that it again should have just gotten Skubal, especially for what you gave up. Whatever.
They should have went after him if they didn't try. So I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. One more thing before I open it up to you guys, if you guys want to talk about anybody else, but I do find it odd that the New York Yankees just seem to have fallen in love with themselves. It's the idea of, what we have are a bunch of guys who can't play defense, but hit the damn ball. And so what do? They go out and they trade for Luis Garcia Jr., who has no defense, but can hit the damn ball. And so they gave up 4 prospects. They gave up a lot in order to do so, but it doesn't feel like it feels a need whenever they traded from the Nationals, plucking away from the highly touted offense of the Washington Nationals. They can certainly use his bat right now with Judge going on the IL and being there for as long as he has been. I get it. But essentially, when this team is whole, when this team is right, and when this team will be, theoretically in the playoffs, it's going to seem redundant. It's going to seem like you're getting diminishing returns the further and further down the lineup you're going to get, because you're just not going to have nearly enough at-plate appearances in order to justify giving up this much capital for a guy that is doing the same thing as the rest of your lineup, seemingly. So I guess I'll go to you there, Luke. Does this move make more sense to you than what I'm simply surmising?
I think the move makes sense in a vacuum. If you just tell me, hey, you can trade for this young, controllable player who's doing really well and can help give your offense a boost because let's be honest, Stanton's never going to be helpful ever in a million years. I think we can all agree with that at this point. He will never be worth it. He's never going to be worth what he paid. He's never going to be healthy enough to ever justify the contract you gave him. So at the end of the day, he's basically a non-starter here. So if you can get another young offensive player to kind of replace the production you were hoping to get out of Stanton, that's a win. I do think that it doesn't inherently solve any of their other problems, though. Like you said, it's not going to help you on pitching. It's not going to help you get outs. It's not going to help you anywhere else. So while I don't necessarily disagree with trading for such a good, young, controllable player, I do agree that like it maybe doesn't actually help your team address any of the needs. But as I said previously, at the end of the day, if you score more than your opposing team, you win.
That is how that works.
Maybe that's their plan. If they score 12 runs every single game, who cares how our defense and pitching is?
Ralph, you are somebody who loves to hate on the Yankees. And is this a move that you hate?
Cashman's an idiot. He's just a bad GM. I mean, you've got such a need. I mean, so they went out and got Ramos, right? I mean, you paid way too much for this guy. Way overpriced to get him. Was stupid. You gave away Henry Lane, which is your number 5 prospect, for this guy. You didn't address, and this is a temporary fix because, you have their guys out right now in the lineup. So offensively, they're struggling. I get it.
Yeah.
They needed a bat, but you way overpaid for the bat. And you disregarded your 2 biggest needs outside of something that's a temporary need. You didn't address your bullpen depth. That bullpen is floundering in the wind. And you didn't address the issue you have behind the plate. You need a catcher. Andy Rushman would have been a great move for you guys. But they walked away from it because they said the price was too high. This might have been the guy where you should have spent the time, the prospects on to get that catcher, because you really need that guy and you don't have him, and that hurts you. So, yeah, I mean, this is, this trade grade, maybe a D plus if I want to be nice. They just didn't do a good job at the deadline. And then Cashman, I'm not a fan of his. I don't think he's a very good GM. And I think there's just another version of that. Now, Yankee fans are pretty pissed off about this too. They were not happy with what they've done.
Yeah, I don't blame them. It's been a disappointing season for them, and it hasn't really been hung on Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge just seemed to be the deodorant holding the team together.
He's hurt now too, right?
Oh, yeah, he's hurt. That's why I'm saying that it's mostly, it hasn't fallen on him, and I think justifiably so, because he was having an MVP-eligible season, as he always does, but it really feels like it was masking a really poorly built team altogether anyways.
It shows you, this is a great example. We always talk, me, the Dodger fan, always talking about the depth the Dodgers have created, right? And all the injuries that they get, but they keep winning. And this is a great example of if you don't have depth. So they got Judge, Stanton, and Bellinger all sidelined. And what's it done to them, right? They're spiraling. They don't have the depth. They haven't done a good job building it. So that's it. That's the difference between a good GM in an organization and a bad GM in an organization.
Absolutely. All right. I'm good with the trade deadline. Anybody else is there anybody else that they want to talk about? Is anybody feeling like talking about Freddie Peralta? Maybe Jose Soriano?
I want to talk about something here, Philip.
Please.
None of the guys you just mentioned here. What the heck were the Diamondbacks doing? I am so disappointed in the lack of just any decision being made. They had the whole trade deadline. They said that they were going to be active, that they were going to try to make trades. They got Lars Nootbaar, who, to be fair, he addresses some of the needs you need. However, he is another outfielder on a team filled with too many outfielders. So it's just and then for their GM to come after the deadline was over and basically just spend the entire week after the fact saying I wanted to do more. Mike Hazen, the vice president and general manager of baseball operations, literally was on local sports media this entire past week. We were active. We were offering tons of prospects. I thought we were doing a lot. We were offering a lot, but we just couldn't get anything done. And it's like, that I don't care about anything else you have to say. Your job is to get it done. If everybody was available, why could we not do anything else? And they just kept trying. They used their mouthpiece, local sports radio talk host Gambo, to prep everyone. Hey, they're not going to be big buyers. They're not going to be big buyers. They don't want to lose the $30 million that they're going to get from the MLB by spending too much in payroll. They might sell some here so that they can afford something else here. So they will do stuff, but don't expect a huge trade. And it's like, they spent weeks leading up to the deadline saying that they're going to improve, but they want to leave space for their young players and their players on the injury list to come back. So far, none of this has happened. They got one outfielder in a crowded outfielder. They did not address first base. They're praying that Justin Martinez, AJ Puck, and Corbin Burns will come back off after major surgeries, two of which were Tommy Johns, and that they'll just magically make everything better. And I think that they will help improve because Zach Gallen has just been awful. And you're out here pulling arms up from the minors just to do it every fourth and fifth day. You're pulling people up from the minors, praying that they can give you 4 to 5 innings. And sometimes they can, because your bullpen has shockingly done very well. But I just want to say, it is frustrating as a fan to see the local team talk themselves up so much. And then by the end of it all, to find out that they basically just lost every single trade negotiation they wanted to have. And that is crazy that they did nothing for the entire trade deadline.
But I think it's obvious why, right? They are not committed. They did not want to spend themselves up to the luxury tax threshold. Right.
That was the simple and complexity of it for me.
Right. Yeah. That's all it was, because they had opportunities, but they decided not to go for it. And they're going to instead rely on the guys coming back like Lawler and Soroka. They're going to rely on that pitching staff to get better, which I don't see that happening. They should have done what the Cubs did. They were in a position like the Cubs where if they could have gone after some arms and done some things to shore that starting rotation up, maybe they can make a run. But they chose that they don't want to do that because, once again, an Arizona ownership group doesn't want to spend the money. And that's all it's ever about in Arizona. They just don't want to spend the money on the players they need. So they're just not all in. They're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And this showed that.
Yep.
I think that's been shown time and time again. The Diamondbacks are showing you, they're telling you time and time again. If you're a Diamondbacks fan, they are telling you that they are fine with where they are. They know where the fan base is not going to go to. They're not going to be outraged that you didn't go for it more. They're not going to be demanding that you all fire anybody. I mean, as close as we've come to having a frothing mouth and going to bat to saying Torey Lovello should be fired, they haven't done it. Why? Because that would cost money. And why are they not trading for more? Because they are it would cost money. This is a team that is not willing to spend what it takes in order to be a better team. And I think that is a disservice to the fans and a disservice to the sport.
Yeah.
Yep. Great.
All right. As we go along, if we're talking about a disservice to the sport, let's also talk about how the Dodgers are failing baseball at large. Yes, the Dodgers have lost back-to-back series against those very Red Sox that we were just talking about, as well as the Cubs, who were buoyed by their trade deadline deals. So, two of the more hot teams in the league. However, Last night was just a gem.
So good. Great game.
Yeah.
I was at work, and let me tell you, where I work, there's a lot of people. And when I tell you that there was a palpable audio, visceral reaction to when Mr. Trumpeteer let out a wet trumpet fart of himself and let a home run just absolutely rob the Dodgers of what they really should have just been a closeout of a game, let alone just maybe even just tying going into extra innings. No. They just straight up lost on a walk-off home run off of Diaz. So 7 games later, the Dodgers, I think, have put themselves in an interesting position. Of course, it would be irresponsible of me to not point out that on Tuesday, reinforcements are coming. Blake Snell will be returning. The Dodgers roster en masse will certainly get more fortified and become more of what we will be expecting come the postseason as time goes on. Even Shohei himself is still not pitching. So Ralph, do you want him to sell the team or what?
This happens every year. I mean, every team goes through a stretch, right?
They went through a 7-game losing streak last year, right?
Mighty Dodgers, yes, this happens every year. My response to this is so. I mean, it doesn't matter. The bigger thing that I'm focused on is, as you just mentioned, people are starting to come back. So now what happens to some of these guys on the team? Because they're going to have to basically, we're starting right now, they're going to have to readjust their rotation and their bullpen to get ready for October because the guys are getting healthy. So now that'll be a transition as they go through that, and they'll have to get steady on that. And then September will be the month to get really ready for the playoffs. So this means nothing. I mean, it happens. That's great. I love that teams like the Diamondbacks can have their moments. I mean, this is what baseball's about, right? The fans yesterday, they were on top of the world because they beat the Dodgers. I think that's awesome. That's what sports is all about. But I'd rather lose those games in August and put a ring on in October. And that's what I focus on. That's what the Dodgers focus on. So enjoy it. Have fun with it. I mean, you can go ahead and sweep them. They can lose 9 in a row. It ain't going to matter. It just doesn't. They're going through a funk right now, man. I'll tell you right now, they can lose 10 in a row. It ain't going to matter. The Dodgers are just going to get everything organized and get back together again. They're too talented to not. So am I concerned? No, I'm not Neil Lynch. I'm not going to sit here and go, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And start panicking, because I'm smarter than that. And I understand sports and I understand the Dodgers. It's not a big deal.
Luke, beyond just, I'm surprised that you even showed up to the show today. Like that there's not just a massive intoxicated hangover of some kind of just celebration, because it was truly stupendous. It was something to see. And I immediately thought of Ralph at that moment. The moment that you saw it is going barely, just ever so barely a home run. How did this feel?
Still counts, baby. It's a good win. I don't really look at it as a Dodgers losing, to be perfectly honest, because again, I'm throwing up in my mouth a little bit here. Ralph is correct. This happens every year. I think it typically happens literally right around this time of year as well. I think we were having this exact conversation a year ago and a year before that. For whatever reason, August specifically is when the Dodgers decide we're just going to take a couple of weeks off to rest and recuperate, and we don't really care what happens here. I am more excited just that the D-backs got a big win. Admitted D-backs homer here, D-backs fan here. This could have been against anybody, and I would have been pretty excited. Corbin Carroll had an amazing catch early in the game. I think it was like the first or second inning. He stole a home run. Fantastic. Ryan Waldschmidt has been a great story for the D-backs this year. He's the one who hit. A
revelation.
And that's what the D-backs have had to do this entire season, is they pull up some young guy. He goes nuclear for a week or two. He cools off. They send him back down. They pull up another young guy. Vargas had like a 25-game hitting streak at the start of the year. So like that's just what has been happening for this team, and it's just, this is what they need to do. Their only hope is to do the whole pray that Corbin Burns and J Mart and AJ Puck can come back, and they don't even really need the bullpen arms. But let's hope Jordan Lawler comes back and he keeps raking like he was before he left. They need somebody to help ignite the offense maybe every week or two, it feels like. So that's how I look at this game. I don't really care at all about the Dodgers. And they're going to win the division, and that's that.
For reference, last July, the Dodgers went through a 7-game losing streak as well.
Oh, it was July.
Yeah, it was July.
Last year, yeah.
This year, they decided to wait a little bit. And Tanner...
so the comment section, let's catch up. Of course, Bitter Dolphin fan and Tanner are both in an outcry over just how much Luke is agreeing with Ralph. A Bitter Dolphin fan saying, Luke agreeing with Ralph. Welcome to the dark side, Luke. And Tanner,
I feel dirty.
Yeah, Tanner asking, is this an AI Luke? I'm concerned about how much he's agreeing with Ralph today. As am I.
When you're right.
As am I.
Aren't we all? I love how just confident Ralph is, how Ralph doesn't, because here's the thing. I think that you can take it as an overall thing. I do think that there are morsels of things to be taken from this, such as Diaz not closing. Like that's worrisome. Like that's a person that will be in that position that shouldn't be giving up home runs to the lowly Diamondbacks. I understand it's where it is, and it's not going to mean much.
He's in spring training right now. You know that, right?
Diaz?
Yeah, he just got back. He's still getting himself going again.
This is still like his 10th or 11th appearance of the year or something like that.
I mean, I'm saying that is a person, a player in his role. He's not coming back to like, oh, it's all right. He's not being a starting pitcher. We'll revert it. No. He's going to be stuck within that role. The Dodgers will rely on him in that role. And
if he has an issue, they'll go to Tanner Scott or Blake Trinan. They're not concerned. It's not like they just need one.
I'd be concerned. If it was Trinan.
Tanner Scott's had a fantastic year. Trinan's been hurt all year, but he comes back, I think, next week too. There's not an issue here.
Have him stay injured if you're asking me.
No, Trinan's
all right. One more thing I do want to talk about as far as the MVP race for the National League, I find to be very interesting in that where we started before this season started was PCA was given the middle finger to the Dodgers fans. Ralph took it personally. Me and Luke could not have known about it or cared about it less, but Ralph represented the what's the area code, Ralph?
818.
It represented the 818 well and defended them so much so that even recently, even amongst that losing streak against the Cubs, PCA was going so far as to say the MVP is what the MVP is. I'll do what I can. I just want to help my team win, specifically against the Dodgers. he still maintained and had energy enough to say like it really mattered that they swept the Dodgers on his behalf coming out of the trade deadline.
Yep.
And I find it interesting that his number one competition still remains to be, and it's a bit further out the further on we go and further along we stand, that PCA's number one competitor on securing a MVP this season is and still remains to be Shohei Ohtani. Now, my question to you, Ralph, is, and I know we don't usually do MVP talk here, but I think it's worth mentioning, is I think that they are comparable, at least in their hitting. But where I wonder is PCA is able to give you game in and game out defensive effort. And normally, Shohei Ohtani pitching would just be far and away the cherry on top of a sundae that is outrageously good, that it breaks the tie. It is a tiebreaker all its own. However, when it's are we still only at 18 games pitched? Something like that?
14 games. Yes, 14 starts.
14 starts. There we go. With only 14 games started, I don't think that that's enough to give him the nudge over PCA. I mean, even if we were to get to, again, 18 games, 17 games, I don't think that that's enough to break the tie. I think that that's where PCA would run away with this.
So if you look at the batting stats, like you said, they're pretty much similar with, in my opinion, Ohtani having a down year. They're pretty much similar. Ohtani is still ahead in average and some other things, but you have to weigh PCA's defense versus Ohtani's mound. Right.
Sorry.
So Ohtani's 8-2 on the mound with a 1.79 ERA and 95 strikeouts. It's pretty solid, even though he hasn't even pitched a whole ton. 8-2 with a 1.79, 95 Ks. To a guy that's, I think he's had 22 assisted. I mean, in the outfield, if I remember right. Yeah, I don't care about MVP stuff. To me, it's whatever, right? This stuff doesn't move the needle for me. But if I look at these two side by side, yeah, Ohtani still has the edge. Still, the fact that he can hit the way he can and then get on the mound and do what he does with the elite guys in the league, that's a lot better than a guy going out to center field and catching a ball and throwing it in. Sorry, I can get a monkey to do that. So I like to see PCA get on the mound and see what he can do. Probably not a whole lot. So no, to me, what Ohtani does is way more impressive. And the numbers right now speak to Ohtani being the MVP again, which is his fourth one, I think, or third. I don't remember.
Fourth at this
Fourth
point.
One. I just don't know how you would pick anyone over him, just even with the year he's having. At some point, he'll start pitching again, and he'll continue to be as great as he is on the mound. And, honestly, his bat will start getting even better. Right now, he's batting about 300. Still, he's knocked in 26 homers, which is amazing, and 70 RBIs. And he's really, in my opinion, had a down year at the plate. But I think he'll wake up, and you'll see a lot more out of him there. So no, to me, it's not even a competition. I'm sorry.
Luke, I'm curious. Do you find that there might be, what is it? Like, I was going to say the LeBron effect, but I feel like that'll just muddy the water. Let's go with like the great coach effect, where most of these great coaches, you look at like Greg Popovich, you look at Bill Belichick, they only get one head coach of the year awards, even though their status amongst the legends would be far and more. Like Andy Reid only has one NFL coach of the year. Do you think that voter fatigue also could be a part in this for Shohei Ohtani to just say, let's give it to somebody else?
I don't think that actually really comes up as much in baseball as it does in other sports. The fact that he's already won 3, I think kind of attributes to the fact that they don't mind giving it out more and more. I think maybe it has to do with splitting it between AL and NL. They don't mind as much giving the same person the award multiple times. For me personally, Ohtani's one of the most interesting players of all time. He's doing what Babe Ruth did, but he's doing it in a modern day era. So I just naturally give that more credit. He's playing against significantly better competition. He himself is playing to a higher standard. But what draws me away from wanting to give him the MVP in a year like this is if you're only going to pitch basically a third of what a full game of starts would be, to me, that is not as impressive. The 1.79 ERA, incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
WHIP under 1, insanely impressive. The 95 strikeouts in 14 starts, pretty good. But at the end of the day, do it for a whole season.
Come on.
If you're only going to pitch for a third of the season and then you're going to be a DH the rest of the, put him out in the field then.
Why would you do that?
If he wants to win the MVP, he either needs to pitch the full season or even most of the season, or he needs to go out there and play defense.
So if he can give me 12 wins on the season, let's say, with a 1.8 ERA, with 120
how many
strikeouts,
starts is he giving you? How many starts is he giving you?
Right now, he's giving us 14.
That, to me, needs to be up more.
Oh, it will. He'll probably finish the year with probably, 18 starts.
18, yeah.
And let's say he gets 12 wins out of that.
I
180 ERA. Yeah, that's
I
nuts.
do not care about wins and losses as a pitcher
What?
stat.
Well,
As a pitcher stat.
You're a D-back fan. That's why.
No, it's a stupid stat for pitchers.
A win-loss?
For pitchers, yes.
Why?
Obviously, winning the game and losing the game matters, but
Why is it a stupid stat?
because you have pitchers who go out there and do 7 innings of 1-run ball and lose because their offense is trash.
Looking at you, Paul Skeens.
That is not it. Oh, yeah. That is not at all indicative of the pitcher being responsible for the loss.
Which is why you combine it with ERA and Ks. So,
correct. Yeah. But that's the thing. Just look at the ERA and Ks.
Okay. 1.79.
Yeah. And that's good. But you're also only doing it for a third of the season and then you stop.
Well, because if he did it for a
you
full
can't
season, we couldn't handle him winning 25 games. People would flip out.
Let us flip out. I want to flip out. I want to flip out over this. I want to give him the MVP. I want to see him start 25 games.
What he's done this year and will continue to do this year, is it more impressive than just PCA going out, running his mouth, playing center field, and hitting the ball?
I get that you hate PCA
Oh, he's
and
a
that is a personal bias for
He's
you.
An absolute 818 douche. If he ever comes back there, they'll probably just...
Everyone from the 818 is like that.
But whoa.
Wait, sorry. Are you from the 818?
I am the 818.
My statement stands. Until I see Ohtani give me a full year of both, it's impressive, but it's not to that level.
With all that said, with your whole performance there, does he win the MVP? Say yes.
Who? Ohtani?
Say yes.
Who?
Ohtani. Well, Ohtani win the MVP.
For this year?
Come on, you know the answer. Just say it. Do you know the answer? Come on. You can do it.
Maybe.
I will say,
if he comes back and plays another, if he comes back with another 4 starts and they're good starts, not just he goes out for an inning and a half and then leaves.
He doesn't do that.
I think that he has. I would say he probably moves into the number 1 spot for MVP.
I will say, Luke, even though you're saying that voter fatigue doesn't apply here or play here, really, it does sound like you are holding Ohtani to a standard that is unto himself. Where if Ohtani never existed and we were to all of a sudden see, I don't know, Corbin Carroll just all of a sudden be like, we are just depleted at pitcher. Like, who's looked really good at pitching practice? And he just goes up there and like finishes out the season like 12 games and just were to have Ohtani's stats. The world would be absolutely going bonkers and he would automatically win MVP.
Yep.
It is
stating that he throws 100 miles an hour, but okay.
It is interesting that we are holding Ohtani to a standard that he himself has set. Is merely my point.
Yeah, good point.
All right. Speaking of the last thing before we exit and leave the park here, we did have a listener question here.
You want to read it out? I have the actual question.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So this is from Bitter Dolphin Fan. Question for the three of us. We know there will be a strike or lockout. We all have come to that knowledge.
Yes.
As we know that Dodgers have not broken any rules. But when the impending lockout ends, do you three think the average fan will step away? The Dodgers will still be winning. Do people say, why should I follow my team? It won't matter. My team has no chance. We saw in the 90s when the work stoppage ended, baseball took a hit. If it wasn't for McGuire and Sosa and that excitement that brought a lot of people back, basically this before it was dying, or am I overthinking this? When baseball comes back within a few months, we'll all be forgiven.
I'll go first. I think for me, this hinges upon how long it goes. I think that there will be long-term detrimental effect if it goes an entire season. I think if it's within a few months, we have not been able to have tendencies or acclimate to ourselves to a world without baseball, without sports. Because if we're being honest, as a sports just hungry culture that we have currently, it is so within our system. It is so within our culture. Like, I don't know about you guys, but whenever you're talking to your significant others, they know. Once they see like, oh, wait, is there football on? They know for the next month until we get to February, your lives are dominated by the people on the field doing the whatever. For baseball fans, they know once opening day happens, they've lost their significant other for how long? If we go a full season, I'm not saying it's the majority. I'm not saying it's even half. I'm saying that there's a bunch of people who have a tradition of going to opening day baseball. And as soon as that tradition is interrupted, as soon as that is halted, as soon as that is stopped, they have now entered an arena where it is no longer tradition, no longer custom, and perhaps they get a moment of clarity, a pause that they otherwise would not have had to think, do I need to do this? I've just been doing this the whole time. What else, when I'm forced to do this, to find other things with which to entertain and take up my time, what else is there to do? And that is the most dangerous thing as a sports viewer that you can have if you're on the behalf of a sports league, a sports franchise. If you already have dedicated viewers, it is not ever in your best interest to give the viewer at home alternatives or time with which to twiddle their thumbs and think of other things to do than to enjoy your product. My thought.
I think for me, baseball occupies rare air. It is the only sport out of the major four that gets to own a period of the calendar. Baseball and football and hockey all have fairly significant overlap with each other. If you are a sports fan and you are desperate for sports, you will find sports every single day of the month, whether it be basketball, football, hockey, college basketball, college football. Like for that period of time, you will have something to occupy yourself. Baseball owns summer. That is all it has, and that's all it needs is summer. I think that if you go a full year without baseball, you will lose some fans because they will, like Philip said, like they're going to find other things to do, and maybe they stick with those other things. But I think what matters more is how ugly this lockout gets and who loses. Because if you see that this just gets truly ugly at a personal level, and you see that like everything that you as a fan, whatever that thing is, but like if me as a fan, I want to see a salary floor. I would like to see, I personally wouldn't mind a salary cap. I think the floor is more important, but I wouldn't necessarily mind a cap to go with it if it gets me the floor. But and all three of us will have different answers for what we want out of this lockout.
Sure.
But if the majority of the average fans are like, I want to see XYZ, and they don't get XYZ, and they've lost a full year or even most of a year, because again, towards that end, when baseball is supposed to be in the playoffs is when football starts to rear its head again. So if you miss almost the entire year and you don't really have anything going on by the time football next year starts, I think you will absolutely see a fairly large detriment for the fan base if they don't get what they want. Outside of that, I don't think that this will kill the sport by any means, but it will. I was alive in the 90s, but I was not socially aware enough of how big of an impact the last lockout was. I think that this lockout, you could see it hurting, especially to be perfectly honest, this is the oldest demographic of sports is baseball. And it's a fairly wide margin. So you're going to see things in different lights. You're going to see different comparisons made. It's also the sport that has the most unwritten rules. It's the most tradition-based one. So I think that this is going to be a very weird lockout for the average fan. And I think a lot of it's going to come down to who yields and who gets more of what they want.
Ralph, I think we've seen, like, into Luke's point, I think that what the MLB does have in their pocket that has not been seen in negotiating tactics before is that they have their own channel. The MLB channel has been, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, has been airing commercials on behalf of a salary cap. They have been airing commercials of saying, hey guys, you know what baseball fans, what real baseball fans want? They want a salary cap because that is what is linked to competitive balance, right? And then they show it and it's like 30 seconds. So I do find that is interesting that baseball itself having a mouthpiece, having a microphone, already knows. It almost seems like they're seeding the point of saying, like, we know that there's damage that's going to be done here. We just don't want to be the ones to bear it. We want it to be applied to the players more so than us or baseball as an entity.
Well, here's the issue. So that's a really good point, actually, that they didn't have that in the past. So 60% of the fans of baseball fans want a salary cap. It's a pretty good number. 73% of the fans feel there's an unfair balance in the sport because of the payroll gap, right? So it's pretty significant where you're saying 2/3 or 3/4 of them. The sport's going to go in a lockout. There's going to be a strike. They're going to lose a season, maybe more. I think the impact will be significant. This is not 1994. In 1994, we couldn't stream. We didn't have all these other things that we could do visually. Not obviously, you can always go out and do what you want to do, but there's all these other ways to entertain ourselves nowadays because of where we are, right? That wasn't the world in 94. So people can easily replace baseball in the summer. It won't be that hard. And then the fear is, and I think this is what will happen, they will not get a salary cap. That's not going to happen. They will never agree to a salary cap. So now you're going to lose one season, maybe two, because that's the point you're trying to make. And you're even talking about how they're putting that on messaging to fans. They're making it their most important thing. Then you come back after losing a season or two and you didn't even get that. What's the fan base going to feel? You just stole a year or two
they lost
from me. And now we lost, right? All those fans can be like, why would I continue to pull for my team? It's unfair. I'm done. I don't need to follow this sport anymore. And they're going to take a significant hit because of that. So this has got multiple damaging things going on. I mean, this is
a great point, Ralph.
Lockout.
Ralph, what do you think would happen if the 60% think it's based off the disparity of pay, right?
Yes.
That's the first stat you gave. What do you think?
A cap.
Oh, wants a cap. Okay, the 73%. So what I'm wondering is, what if they just get the salary floor, and that you don't see that big of a gap as much?
I think
anymore.
it can satisfy some fans with that. Some of the smaller market fans are going to say, well, at least we have a cap, so now our ownership has to spend, or a floor, so our ownership has to spend money. I think that's a partial win, and I think that will save some of them. But if you come back without a cap and without a floor, oh my gosh, dude. I think this becomes easily, this sport can go from, what is it, probably the number 2 watch sport right now? I think it's 2. I think behind football, if I remember right.
Depends on the metric.
It probably drops below. It probably drops to 4 if those two things line up. This is a really dangerous lockout. This is the most dangerous lockout they've ever seen in this sport. And it's going to be interesting to see how it happens. But you're almost forced, if you're going to do this lockout, if you're going to make this lockout happen, which it will automatically happen. I think is it December 1st? I think this actually will go into effect because that's when the old one ends.
Right.
They won't figure something out by February. So if we get to February or March and this thing starts locking out, I think the MLB's in trouble, because if they don't come back, again, I'm going to say it again, if they don't come back with a cap and possibly a floor, I think that you lose half your fan base, if not more. People are going to walk away from the sport. I'm telling you, they will walk away from the sport. Yes.
Right now, to give credence to what Ralph is saying, right now, based off of a Statista poll, 29 baseball's second with a 29% share of age group 18 years and older watching baseball. Number one's NFL at 43%. Baseball's 2 at 29%. Basketball's 3 at 24%. NHL is 4th at 17%.
I do think that what is different also when you were talking about updated factors here, Ralph, one other thing to your point, and I think kind of to mine as well, is that I think they can withstand a few months. I think a lot of people in the sports world are able to enjoy and take a break in sports, whatever. They can withstand that. It's the idea of an entire season where really baseball is used almost as a background noise. It's like, you look at sports bars, what's on? It's not ESPN the Ocho. It's the local New York Mets game. It's or not even the local one. It's the, you know what? I very rarely watch the Houston Astros, but I'll watch them lose. Whatever it is, it's just volume. That's really what it is. Whenever you look towards all this as an entire thing, when you think of it like a show, just as a show, what we've seen recently is the Netflixification of media as an entire thing. And what hurts a lot of shows they've shown recently is this idea of shows occurring and then taking 4 years to get to season 2, another 2 years to get to season 3, whatever it is. Yeah, it's a lot of the shows that they've seen great returns on are the ones that can make a return quicker, because if they're good, you want to bring them back. You want to have them. It's whenever you're like, oh yeah, third season of Yellow Jackets, it's coming by in 4 years, whatever it is. Like you even look at like Wicked, you know, a lot of people were excited about Wicked, mostly because the fervor and fever of the first movie had not died, because they filmed them both consecutively to come out within 1 year of each other. I think that is something that is also different, is that the attention span, we as a society, as a sports driven culture. However, where I will disagree with you, Ralph, is half is too much.
Okay, a third.
I don't think half's too much.
That's too much, Luke. I might be able to get on board on like doomsday scenario a third, but not half.
The only reason I'm there, I remember the 94 strike. I know you guys were really young making your life decisions there.
Oh, 94?
I think my biggest life decision was, do I take a dookie in this diaper right now or not?
Yeah, what are you in the diaper?
I was not alive.
So I remember the 94 strike really like it was yesterday. And we didn't have the social media and the streaming capability that we have today, right? I mean, the internet was still messaging boards. So we didn't have all this. There is so much to occupy our minds with and our eyes with as a sports fan, including anything out in Europe, everywhere. There's so much more that we could be entertained with. And all the MLB is doing is giving people the opportunity to explore those things and to actually start accepting those things and taking those things on to where in a matter of no time, the MLB becomes an afterthought. That's going to happen. This is not the same world we lived in 30 years ago. So I think this is a dangerous strike for the MLB.
I fully agree. There is so much more stuff for us to be doing that we do not rely on baseball the same way that we have previously. And there's plenty of other things. Banana ball alone,
banana ball. What an opportunity for banana ball this is going to be huge. They're already putting 80,000 people in stadiums. I guarantee you they're planning on an expansion of more teams next year and more games and more. They'll start playing in MLB stadiums like they're doing now, because now those stadiums will be completely empty.
Yeah.
You are going to see that explode and people are going to be like, what MLB?
According to this poll I just found from Fox Sports source, The Economist, baseball is currently, or as of Q4 2024, baseball was the fourth most self-declared favorite sport in the United States.
Yeah, it's lost popularity.
It was already behind. Football was 1 at 36. Basketball was 2 at 17. Soccer was 3 at 10%. Baseball was 4th at 9%.
But if I may, I think what we're having a different discussion on is actionable decision making. I think that there is a difference between, let's just say Ralph's love for the NBA, right? Ralph used to, no, I'm being serious. Ralph used to love watching the NBA.
I used to, yeah.
Would not miss a Lakers game. Yeah. Now Ralph watches for the show, but it's not every Lakers game. If we're in the middle of baseball season, football season, he's going to tear it. And that is where the actionable decisions that have been going on, that have led to disinterest, have led to everything, have affected his viewing stance. I do not believe that a sports crazed culture that we currently have, we can have a power rankings within our mind of where baseball is going to be affected en masse. But if you think that a person who has free time, who loves sports, is not going to watch baseball simply because of a strike, I'm saying that type of person is maximum 20%, maximum. That when we're talking about half, when we're talking about a third, that is almost throwing to the wind the idea that somehow people are going to be so outraged for missing a season. Shoot, even if we go to 2, I do not think that we are going to be missing half.
2 will be death. 2 will be death.
It will not. I think it's not the outrage though. I think that's what Ralph's also saying is it's not that people will be so angry at MLB that they'll stop watching. It is because for a lot of people, for the average fan, for the majority of the people who watch baseball, they are not loving baseball. It is because they enjoy sports and because baseball is a daily sport that is on it. Typically the hours that you can throw
literally
it on
an
at the end of the day, and it's a background noise. Yes, literally. If you give them a full year or more to find something else to throw on in the background, they would. There's a very good chance that this will be the start of increasing soccer more.
I thought about that
because you can throw a soccer game on. It's going to take up. You could probably watch 2 soccer games, a soccer game and a half, in the time it would take to do like a long baseball game. You throw that on in the background. It's pre-recorded, so you can skip through all of the halftime stuff. And you can typically tell based off the announcer's voice when something exciting's about to happen for you to look over. I'm just saying, like, it's not that people are going to be angry at baseball and they're going to stop watching because of anger. They're going to stop watching because they've just found other things to churn on in their house.
You know what we didn't have in 94? We didn't have NFL Network. We didn't have the NFL being a year-long organization. Basically, NFL is a year-long thing. We talk about it 12 months a year now.
We're about to go back into it right here.
We're right into it again. Yeah. So that's my point, right? We didn't have that in 94. Baseball was very necessary. And now, to Luke's point, it's just not. It's background noise, and it could be replaced easily. And the biggest mistake that MLB is making is running those commercials, because they're making the point of this is all about a salary cap, right? That is a huge mistake, because if they don't get a salary cap and it gets resolved, people are going to be like, I cannot believe you did this for this one thing and you didn't even get it, yet you impacted me for the last year or two. That's going to piss people off and turn them off completely. Ralph, so it's a mistake to put that out there.
That is a fantastic point. I think that's, I mean, if we talk about Ralph Romano's top 10 takes of all time, that might be like Mount Rushmore, my guy. It's a fantastic. You're having a great day. Yeah, my gosh, you may be tired, but you are on one, and I love it. All right, we are leaving baseball in the dust because we are now going to the NFL. We are going to go to a little city called Extension City because there's been a lot happening this. If you are at all in the Twitter sphere, if you are at all just following even on Facebook, I'm sure Ian Rappaport's over there on Facebook, just going haywire because it has been nonstop this week. Like even as training camp and the Hall of Fame game, there have been hold-ins, hold-outs, hold-arounds. You're holding, and for certain quarterbacks, holding hands on the training camp tour. My goodness, Justin Herbert is grabbing himself a beer, and I'm not talking about a Heineken. My goodness. All right. But let's start here. We'll start with the big boys up front. Darnell Wright getting himself an extension. I gotta say, we talked about the NFC North last week. I love the Bears, man. You gotta loving the Bears because every move that they make, extending the big boys up front, that's where it matters. Ben Johnson has his fingerprint on it. If this were an administration, dare I say, of for the Bears specifically, if this were a previous regime. You saw it in years past. They'd be trading for DJ Moore. They'd be giving an extension to Darnell Mooney, and that would be priority number one. No. What do the Bears do? Even as soon as they go to training camp, Darnell Wright is getting himself a big fat extension for the big boy up front. Is anybody going to go so far out to say that they hate this move, that this was a misstep?
No. Yes. I mean, it's the right. You got man. That's a big contract.
It is a big contract.
$23 million guaranteed.
Okay. So that's pretty much where the only place that you can probably be upset, right? And that makes sense. What I will say though, what I love, it is very, very, very hard throughout NFL free agent history. It is the rare exception to the rule, not the rule, that you are able to find offensive lineman in free agency. Tyler Linderbaum this year, that is rare to find a entering prime offensive lineman that you can just sign out of free agency. That's why the Raiders did that, because it is, you get one every 4 seasons, maybe even 5. And I'm just doing 4 to be fair. It's very rare to find that. So I'm a big proponent of being able to keep your talent. And I guarantee you, by the end of this contract, if you're starting to regret it, if for some reason the Bears are starting to take a step back, you've seen this move with the Chiefs before, where they had a center. They were able to trade him to the very same Bears here that I believe, they even acquired. They were the ones who acquired him from the Patriots. The offensive linemen are worth their weight in gold, and I do mean that on literally. They are worth their weight. And even if this starts to, you saw this, the Dolphins, when they traded Tunsil, they signed him to an outrageous contract, and they were able to move him and still get a haul, simply because offensive linemen do not grow from trees. It's just a body type that is very hard to come by. So they are able to be able to maneuver these contracts. I love it whenever a team is able to re-sign, and justifiably re-sign, their own offensive lineman that they drafted to a contract going forward. It fits their culture, fits the regime. Love it.
Are you going to mention Brian O'Neill?
I wasn't going to, but you can mention him right now.
You're in the same boat, right? Another offensive tackle, but they gave him 4-year, $96 million. I was curious how you felt about that. He's a 30-year-old dude.
It's fine. Brian O'Neill, I think that he's less important. I mean, because Darnell Wright is their left tackle. That is just, especially for a right-handed quarterback. If you're over there in Atlanta, maybe I would care more that you're on the right side as opposed to the left side, whatever it is. It's whoever's going to be protecting the quarterback's blind side. But for
my point is, these linemen are starting to make some serious money.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again,
the Titans, Skoronski, I don't know if you have him on there, but $100 million extension as well from Tennessee. Granted, they're literally paying nobody right now, so it's a little bit easier for them to stomach
Casey
that.
Maybe, and that's about it for the Titans. They're so devoid of talent outside of Cornell Tate. Thank God they drafted him where they did. But you're right, absolutely. These offensive linemen, it is. I think that you've seen NFL teams as an entire organization start to value and find that the value of a run game comes from the offensive line more than the running back. And that's something that we'll talk more about here in a moment. But I think that that's where, when you say that offensive linemen are making more money, I think that that's where they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's where they go. All right. Next one. And this one, I want to go to Luke first on, because this was one that generated a response specifically from Luke Wright that I think is going to be just picture perfect. Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers gets himself a nice, meaty contract from the Baltimore Ravens that had a lot of people scratching their heads. And Luke Wright's first reaction was,
WTF are the Ravens
thinking? And it wasn't an F, if I know. It wasn't just an F. Luke, go ahead.
Why? What is the point of this? He's not that good. He's not bad, but he's not that good. He is not a top 5 wide receiver in the league. He's arguably not even top 10 in the league. Why are we paying him this money?
And he has 2 years left on his
contract, wait a year. Just wait a year. Draft somebody else. Trade for somebody else. Do literally anything else than to tie up this much money in Zay Flowers. This dude is at best a wide receiver 2 if you're looking to win a Super Bowl. He's not the answer. You can easily replace this production at half the cost. They have to be high in Baltimore. Did they legalize marijuana in Baltimore yet? Is that legal?
I'm curious,
yet?
Which contract do you hate more, I suppose, is the question. The Alec Pierce 4-year, $114 million contract extension, or the Zay Flowers 4 years, $140?
Both bad.
They're both bad.
They're both bad. I hate Alec Pierce more. Because
not the extension. I hate Alec Pierce.
Not the extension. Alec Pierce is a human individual. The Pierce one is worse. Pierce has never been a number 1. To me, he hasn't proven that he can even stay healthy for a full year, let alone be healthy for a full year and put up wide receiver 1 numbers for a full year. So I think that extension is still worse overall. I just think that you're paying wide receiver one money to somebody who ultimately is a fringe wide receiver one player in Zay Flowers.
Ralph, what this suggests to me is that Zay Flowers is viewed by the organization, if nobody else, as a bona fide wide receiver, meaning that all the moves that they've made and haven't made in the form of not extending Lamar Jackson have kind of shown me that they believe that there's more fruit to be plucked from this offense, from an offensive production standpoint, than they've been receiving as of yet. I think that this Zay Flowers extension is a pseudo jab at Lamar Jackson saying, we've given you a wide receiving option that we think is actually good, and you're the reason why he's not generating the wide receiver one production, and we will pay him as such. Is there any validity to that statement for you, Ralph?
Not for me. I think, first of all, he has 2 years left on his contract. I would have waited at least a year. I agree with that.
I mean, if you would have waited for Jackson Smith and Jigba, I'm shocked that you would have waited for another year for
You're looking at his progression over the last, if you look at his numbers the last 3 years, he's gotten better every year. He had a good year last year, 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns, 86 catches. I mean, that's a good year.
Injured in the playoffs, though.
Right. He was injured in the playoffs. But he's had good seasons. They've been getting better every year. So I think they're banking on the fact
injured to try and make the playoffs.
Let's lock this guy in because they feel his upside going forward is even better. So I understand that. I still think they did it. They pulled the trigger a little too early. A little bit of a premature extension here. You wait one more year. You see what this year looks like. If 26 looks like even better than last year and it continued progression, okay, throw some money at this guy. And maybe they were thinking we can save some money by locking him in for 4 now. I don't know. I mean, do I think he's elite? Not yet. I don't consider him elite. I mean, is he a 1 or a 2? I mean, on this team, he's a 1. He's a 2 in a lot of other places, even a 3. We're going to have to see. I don't like it. I think there's better things they could have done, and they could have waited a year. But the Ravens always confuse me with a lot of things they do. So, I mean, this is just another one of them.
This was why I don't know that. I think Luke. This was the week that Luke left, or was not with us. But this is part of the reasons why I'm right there with you, Ralph. The Ravens organization has a top pedigree reputation, but lest we forget, there has been a change in the general manager ship within the past. What was it? 3 years ago that the general manager changed to Eric DeCosta. And I can't say that I've loved a lot of their decisions since then. It seems like they haven't had the exact same pedigree and reputation. Even if you want to just go so far as to just say, like, just look no further than the Max Crosby deal. Whether or not you disagree with like whether or not that they agreed to a deal or whether it was underhanded, what have you, there's been a lot of questionable decisions that they've made. I do think that this is somewhat indicative for myself, if nothing else, of why I predicted the Ravens to miss the playoffs altogether this upcoming season. So that was an interesting extension. We do have a trifecta of running backs to talk about who all got extended this offseason. None of them on a contract year, but 2 out of the 3 were being hold-ins. Let's go to the genie of the lamp there, Bijan Robinson, having himself he was the first one to get a new extension. He got 3 years, $66.7 million per over the cap. Now, Bijan Robinson, to me, I think would be across the board for the 3 running backs, be considered the most talented, probably most utilized. I guess we can. I'm sorry.
He's the most important.
Most important, certainly. He's generated an entire. He's asked to generate an entire offense all himself.
Yeah.
Luke, for your part, I guess if we were to, we can either address this as 3, but I think it might be just better to address them one-on-one. Bijan Robinson, do you find this to be too much, or are you fine with this extension?
This is a tough one for me.
Only 24 years old.
He's only 24. It's only 3 years. I think it's worth it. As somebody who typically hates paying running backs, I think that this is probably worth it. At the end of the day, you're still paying him half as much as you would a quarterback over that time frame. And I think that that's and knowing that for all three of these guys, your offense will be made around them and not around the quarterback, I think does play a big factor. I think that it kind of encourages you to pay him and then just run him into the ground. And I know that that's not the most human response, but it is the best business response. Pay him early, run him into the ground, and then let him go after this contract. So I think it's probably worth it, especially for Bijan. But I am concerned that you're paying him this much money, and at the end of the day, your offense will still be so run focused that defenses will have a fairly easy time trying to game plan for you.
Ralph, Bijan is being tasked to either be in an offense led by Tua or Michael Penix Jr. Is that alone worth the extension?
Yeah, you really need this guy.
That's really
so important.
Yeah.
I mean, that's you're right on the head. I mean, they don't have a quarterback. Got a good receiver, got this guy. Everything's going to run through this guy.
Tight end is the Pitts.
Yeah, I mean, I hate giving a lot of money to running backs. I'm as well. I'm not a big fan of that. But I think in their position, they didn't have much of a choice. You can't afford to not give it to this guy. So I understand. And I love the guy. I think he's a great player. And this will be his contract. He'll never see this kind of money again.
Yeah. After this, it's
it's
very rare to get the Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey legacy contract, and also viably earn those too as well.
Yeah,
so
this guy's a great. He's their offense. So I mean, I understand why they did it.
All right, Jahmyr Gibbs is the next one. Also got 3 years, just ever so slightly got more than Bijan. 3 years, $67.5 million. I'll start out on this one. Jahmyr Gibbs, to me, out of the three that just recently happened, seemed to be the most worth this extension. And obviously, you paid the most. But I would say the most worth it. Yes, you have an established quarterback by this point when Jared Goff, who is a walking dummy in the form of he has no mobility whatsoever. So you are forced to be a dump off option and work in the passing game, which he does. And yes, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who also helps in the run game too. So there's a lot there to say that Jahmyr is probably less valuable than others. However, when we talk about Bijan Robinson, he was drafted to be and has been utilized as the workhorse that he has been thus far. Jahmyr Gibbs, lest we forget, it's only this offseason that he had David Montgomery knuckles to his Sonic that has split the load, has split the heavy load. David Montgomery was the goal line back. And Jahmyr Gibbs, I do not think doesn't have that capability within him. He could be a goal line back. He just had David Montgomery to help shoulder that offensive workload. So if there's a running back that still seems to have not taken the wear and tear that a running back taken to the pedigree and drafted to where he was, and it has a lot more good years and good miles, quote unquote, to give, it's Jahmyr Gibbs, who has a skill set, who has the body type, who has the ability to really make this an extension seem to be the commonsensical thing. Also, he aligns with what their identity is, where you're looking at a team that looks to run the ball, play in, play out. They will pass begrudgingly. So I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs to be worth it the most. And I think it's the next extension that I would worry about, not this one. This one seems to be worth it to me. Ralph?
You just said all the things as to why this one scares me.
Wow.
The fact that Montgomery left and now he's going to take on the workload. So he hasn't had that. He's had great numbers. Let's start there. The guy's fantastic, right? I mean, so that's awesome. But now for the first time, he's going to really have a load that he's going to take on. I don't know why, but I keep seeing visions of Kenneth Walker in my head, where you've given this guy all this money now, and all of a sudden, because he's taking this load on, he's going to take a hit and he's going to get hurt, and you're going to start losing his services. He's used to being that platoon back, and I just don't think they're going to go down that route this year. He's going to be the guy. He's going to get up most of the load. And with that, with these running backs, always comes the risk of injury. And this is when they start going downhill. I'm scared of this. I'm just scared. I'm scared. I wish they would have kept Montgomery. I'm scared that they didn't. I'm scared that he's going to take on the load, and I don't want him to be the next Kenneth Walker who was never playing ever. So I understand it. I get it, but I'm concerned about it.
Luke, break the tie here.
Philip, why are you making me agree with?
Really? Wow.
I'm scared. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, was out of the three the one who probably is the most worrying extension. Like, this is a guy who is not designed to be your every down back. He is designed to split carries with a bigger bruising back. David Montgomery was not just a goal line back. He took a lot of the goal line carries, but he also was the guy who you put on third and one when you wanted to run it. He's the one you put in 4th and 1 when you wanted to run it. Like, he took more than just goal line carries. And if you're going to start asking Jahmyr Gibbs to do that, I think you are going to see a hit or miss mentality. You're going to start to see him very similar to Chris Johnson. He is a fast guy, and if he breaks one, he's home. And hey, Chris Johnson, there's a reason why he's called CJ2K. Jahmyr Gibbs has the potential for a 2,000-yard rushing season. If he gets it, though, it will be because he is a good, consistent runner. It'll be much like Chris Johnson in his 2,000-yard season, where basically once a game he'd rip off a 70, 80, 90-yard rush for a touchdown, and it would inflate his numbers. And I think that's the best that we're going to see out of Jahmyr Gibbs this year is potentially 2K, which is, don't get me wrong, that's fantastic if you can get it. But at the end of the day, I think the offensive line has gotten worse. Oh, yeah. And if he's going to have to take more and more beatings from a worse offensive line, that really concerns me, especially because you did pay him an extra $750,000 compared to Bijan. So to me, this is the one that's the most concerning. It has a ton of upside. You could see him have a 2,000-yard season. I don't think that's very likely, but it's possible. But at the end of the day, you've now taken this guy who you've propped up as a speedy guy who is not an every down runner because you have a bruising back to do that. And now you've decided, hey, you're going to be our number one every single play. And I don't know if Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be well designed for that.
I'm shocked. I find Jahmyr Gibbs to have the build and ability to be a 3-down back, but I guess we'll find out. I do think that even with this extension, the Lions have made it clear that they will have a 2-back system. I just don't think that we're familiar with their just recent whoever their second running back is. I know that they drafted somebody this year. I don't know if they're going to stick with him being their second running back. They might pick somebody up off the waiver wire, or not the waiver wire. My goodness, off the free agency. Giving my fantasy, I'm in a fantasy mood here already. Let's go to one last one, and we'll do this quickly before we go to the 818 before we talk any more NFL stories, because I want to make sure we get the 818 in here. Jonathan Taylor didn't sign a 3-year extension, but he did sign a 2-year, $44 million extension, which I kind of found to be surprising, given that this will be the second extension that he signed. The Colts, I think, do depend upon him for a lot of their offense output. Let's see. Luke, you're a guy who has a lot of value assigned to Jonathan Taylor, I think more so than I do, at least, again, in a fantasy sense, given that I know how you operate. I have you pegged in the draft upcoming here. I know where you're going. Jonathan Taylor.
You think I'm going for
I
Jonathan
know that
Taylor?
You love yourself some Jonathan Taylor. Give it to me straight. How much do you love this extension?
I like it. I don't know if I love it, but I do like it. I think out of the 3 extensions, I actually think this is like the best value. You're only paying 2 years. You're paying less than the other 2. You're getting a guy who's in his prime rather than the guy who is coming into his prime. And you're basically squeezing out the last couple prime years of Jonathan Taylor. He's entering his 7th year. 3 of his previous 6 seasons, he has rushed for over 300 carries in a season. So I think that this is we're going to give you another contract. It's only going to be for 2 years, but it's going to be for that $22 million a year. And I think 39 of it's guaranteed. So he's basically getting $20 million guaranteed a year. And buddy, we are going to run you straight into the ground until you can't run anymore. And then after this 2-year stretch is over, enjoy retirement. Enjoy retirement. Enjoy what other team you want to go on to live out your twilight years. But we will be done with you after this contract. And for me, that makes this the safest extension out of the 3. Everyone knows what this team is about. Everyone knows what Jonathan Taylor's about. Everyone knows what is going to happen. And I do think that this is a fairly good offensive line, or it's getting better, I should say. And I think that right now, Jonathan Taylor, as a GM, this is the extension I would want out of the 3.
I think Jonathan Taylor you say we know exactly where he's going. Yeah, he's going to the bench and the blue medical tent because this guy gets injured a lot. Last year seemed like an aberration, seemed again to be the exception, not the rule. Is Jonathan Taylor, look, great back. When he's on the field, undeniably fantastic. I mean, there were legitimate cause and murmurings for people to say, hey, like I remember it was like week 8. Hey, you know who should be on the MVP discussion? Jonathan Taylor. So I'm not besmirching him. I think that he's a fantastic back. But as far as this extension, you would have had to drag me kicking and screaming. Like he would have had to hold out into the season for me to give him an extension, let alone this extension. I don't believe in this. This was my worst of the extensions personally, just because of the history that he has, the wear and tear that he already has. Jonathan Taylor, to me, I think is going to be going downhill from here, not going uphill. And that's my Tuesday. And also for what? For a team that they have gone all in now. I think that it's a move that the Colts are continuing on pushing all their chips towards the middle of the table for some weird reason, thinking Daniel Jones is the solution. When I'd say that you need a different question if that's the answer. But I'm going to say that this was the worst one. Ralph?
I'm okay with it. It's 2-year contract, not more than that, so I'm fine with it. I feel like you're going to see his touches change a little bit because they have that rookie from Kentucky, Seth McGowan, that they drafted, he's a monster at 223 pounds and he loves contact. And I think you're going to see him kind of take the David Montgomery role and Jonathan Taylor kind of take the Gibbs role. I mean, so I think you'll see him with less harsh, how can I say that? Harsh handoffs, harsh runs to try to kind of limit his ability of getting hit and getting hurt. You had to do this. Who else you got besides this rookie? You're going to bank on this rookie taking a lot of the hits. And I'm okay with it. It's 2 years. And you're right. After 2 years, he's probably done. My favorite part of this extension was when Carly Ursay-Gordon was at training camp and she had him come out and announce that everyone at camp is getting free beer. So I thought that was cool. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I did not see that, but I do love that.
She told everybody that he was staying, and then she had him talk, and then she told him, hey, tell everybody you get a free beer, and it was kind of a cool moment. So kind of neat.
I love that. All right, so we do have more NFL news to potentially talk about. However, there is a segment that we go to every single week that we make sure that we hit because we are cruising along the 8x8.
Like it's totally time for the 8x8 series. 8 NFL divisions, 8 weeks, and nowhere to hide. Gag me with a spoon. We know exactly who you are. And now we're calling you out one team at a time. No excuses. No hiding behind the hype. This is the 8x8. For sure.
The single most unique opening of all time. We bring on the 8x8 series. We've gone through a majority of the NFL divisions. However, we have left the best for last in that the best direction as far as the NFL is concerned is the West. We will be doing the AFC West this week. And of course, we'll start with the Chargers. In this previous draft, the Chargers drafted in round 1, number 22 overall, Akeem Mesidor, the edge out of Miami, the second of 2 edges taken out of Miami. In round 2, they drafted Jake Slaughter, the center out of Florida. Great last name. And then, of course, in the offseason, Chargers re-signed Khalil Mack to a contract extension for 1 year, worth up to $18 million per year. Khalil Mack just making that money. My goodness. The Chargers also signed offensive lineman Cole Strange and fantasy darling tight end David Njoku. And what might be their biggest offseason acquisition, they signed freshly fired head coach Mike McDaniels to fill their recently void offensive coordinator position. So let's go with you first there, Luke. What is your statement and thoughts on the Chargers?
So my statement on the Chargers is a question. Pulling out another question. Can they survive the 7-game stretch from hell? So, they start their season off pretty easy. They get back-to-back home games against the Cardinals and the Raiders. They should be able to get off to a quick 2-0 start. After that, they go to Buffalo, to Seattle, at home against Denver, to Kansas City. They do get a bye, and then they have to go to the Rams, and then they have to play Houston, and then they have to go to Baltimore. So that is a brutal 7-game stretch right towards the kind of beginning of it, which will basically make or break their entire year. They have to be able to come out positive. They have to go at least 4-3, if not 5-2. And for a team that was really hoping for a lot of easy games early to get kind of acclimated to their new offensive system and to be able to have all the parts have time to kind of coalesce, I don't know if 2 games will be enough for it. I think that this team is roughly where it was at last year, but I don't know if they really are going to have enough to push them to take a division win this year. Division championship. I should phrase that better.
Ralph?
My statement is McDaniel plus Herbert equals fascinating.
Ooh.
I think this is an interesting marriage, these two. Mike McDaniel, the formerly known cokehead or crackhead over in Miami.
Dealer of nothing else.
Crackhead, whatever the hell he was. I think he's a heck of an offensive coach who works really well with quarterbacks. And I think he's got the perfect person to work with in Justin Herbert. They need Justin Herbert to not only be Justin Herbert, but to get a little better and also to be available and healthy in January. It seems like every time we get toward the end of the year, Herbert is always hurting. He can barely walk because his line is not there for him and he gets destroyed, and they just can never take advantage of teams to utilize their quarterback and all his beautiful things that he brings them. So I love this marriage. I think Herbert's going to get to the next level with this coaching, which will be interesting for that offense. But the key is going to be Slater and Alt. Can they stay healthy? And if they can, that line is now legit and they can protect this guy, which now makes this Charger team very dangerous in this division and even in this conference. That is going to be the biggest keys to this team's success this year. If those 2 guys stay healthy, I think it all falls in line. I think McDaniel will do his thing with Herbert, and the sky's the limit for this team. They could be a 11-12 win team if it all's clicking. Maybe even 13, and they could wind up winning the division. I mean, we'll have to see. But if those guys on the line are hurt and things start falling apart and Herbert gets destroyed like he's been getting every year, you're looking at a 6-7 win Charger team and another bad year. But everyone gets discount Coke, so it's good.
Also, to your point over there, Luke, in the 7-game skid, don't forget they not only get the Rams off of a bye, but they travel to the Rams. It's a home game, all encompassing. So they get to still stay at home. Great. That is like the optimal time that you get to meet the Rams if you have to meet the Rams, which is then. All right.
Sure, it just sucks.
And yeah, what's right? If you have to, that's the most fortunate series of events to happen. All right. My statement for the Chargers: their line isn't offensive. This wasn't a highlight of an off season. And with Herbert's cap number finally elevating from his rookie wage scale level contracts prior, it's easy to see how this team is mostly relying on their drafting ability and the O-line not being injured to hell. And honestly, I think that's enough for them to maintain being a playoff team. They have a lot of easy wins, with at least 2 of them coming in the form of the Raiders. And they'll need every one of those easy wins, given the division they play in. However, I find that this to be a team that can easily make the playoffs, where I will have zero faith in them or their QB once there. That's my assessment of the Chargers. All right, so it seems like we're all, if not playoff adjacent, just pretty much outright playoffs is where it goes. Let's go over to the Raiders. Of course, easy to remember where their number 1 overall pick went, to Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback out of Indiana. In round 2, they got Traden Stukes, the safety out of Arizona. And in round 3, they had 2, and I'll go over them both, Kieran Crawford, the edge out of Auburn, and Trey Zune, the third, center out of Texas A&M. A lot of turnover with these Raiders, who immediately signed the offensive coordinator of the Super Bowl champion Seahawks to be their head coach. They then proceeded to trade away Geno Smith to the New York Jets and signed traffic cone Kirk Cousins to be their quarterback 1.
Wow.
They then made a splash in free agency, signing center Tyler Linderbaum, linebacker Quay Walker, defensive end Kwity Paye, and wide receiver Jalen Naylor. The only place they didn't turn over was defensive end Max Crosby, though not for lack of trying. I'll go first here, and my statement here is selling my Ingredient stock. Are either of you financial moguls here familiar with New York Stock Exchange company Ingredient? I'm asking. No. Ingredient is a company that turns raw corn into starches, sweeteners, and ingredients for food. And I'm selling it because the Las Vegas Raiders are going full corny this season, and I do not see the daisies and hemp seed oil that Ralph is frolicking and smoking on his way to seeing this team becoming the number 1 seed this year. My God.
I never said that.
Simply put, consider me skeptical that a highly successful 1-year comet such as Fernando Mendoza in a professional setting can generate success. Oh, and if he never takes the reins, you're stuck with Kirk Cousins. Good luck with that. I think this team is destined to be a top 3 team in the 2027 NFL draft. Blame the division, blame the lack of talent. This team is not winning. That's my statement. Luke, you're next.
My statement for the Raiders is, hey, wait it out. I think you're about to have a real tough year ahead. I think that you are making the right moves. They are just not going to come to fruition this year. Get through it. Get a good pick next year. I still think I don't think they'll be top 3 in next year's draft. I don't think they'll make the playoffs either. I think that they are going to kind of be a slightly below average to average team. But the plan is not to be successful this year. The plan is to not be losers this year. Start with the winning culture with your new head coach. Let your quarterback learn how to play the position from somebody who at least knows how to be successful on Sunday afternoons. And then just wait it out. You just got to wait it out. You got to be patient. It's like you're in senior year in high school all over again. Nothing you do really matters. You've already figured out if you're going to college or not. You already know what your major is going to be. You've already done, you're not in any advanced classes. You're just here to party until college. That's what this is. Stop fighting in training camp.
Oh my gosh.
You're not tough, Max Crosby, for beating up Kirk Cousins in a practice.
Can't blame the guy for trying.
Let's all take a breath. He's trying to get Fernando Mendoza out there week 1. But to sum it up, be cool. Wait it out.
Real cool. All right, Ralph. Go ahead. Super Bowl take. Here we come.
My statement is progress matters more than record. And this is a young team with a bunch of young pieces, but you know where it starts? It starts at the head coach. We don't know how Kubiak will do as a head coach. I saw him the other day watching it, and he was walking around as a head coach, and it made me kind of cringe a little bit. I don't know why. He doesn't look the part. It's kind of weird. I really like him a lot, but I don't feel head coach out of him. I guess we'll see.
He's not wearing Seattle.
Yeah.
Oh,
colors
that makes him
anymore.
ugly as it is. But I mean, I don't feel when you listen to Kubiak talk, it's not like listening to a head coach talk. That's just my take on him.
You're the Las Vegas Raiders.
I'm
the Las
pulling for
Vegas
him.
Raiders.
But I'm pulling for him though. But I think he needs time. And obviously, please have patience with Mendoza. Don't let him play right away. Let him learn. Take your time with Mendoza.
I agree with this.
I feel the future is brighter than it's been in a long time. Young offensive line, love the young running back, love the young quarterback, love Brock Bowers. The defense, of course, you're going to love the pieces that they're putting on there. They've got a lot of the good pieces. But this is a really good young team that's going to lose a lot of games as they learn to play as a team. But they're going to get their statement wins during the year where they're going to go into a Denver and beat the Broncos, or they're going to go into LA and beat the Raiders. They're going to get some of those really good big wins where you're going to be like, hey, this is the team they're going to be, but not yet, right? I think we're going to see that from them. That all being said, are they a playoff team? No, they're not. Probably 8-win ceiling, and that's if they have a great year.
He's backing down.
Right.
He's backing down.
I'm just going to say 8 wins. That's probably their ceiling. If they just cannot get it together and Cousins is not doing anything and they got to put Mendoza in there, you're probably looking at a 4 to 5 win season. That's what you're looking at. But it's a different kind of 5 or 6 win season. It's a season of this young team who's got really good pieces will get better and will continue to be better. And I think a year or two from now, we'll be talking about the Raiders as one of the contenders for the division. That's my take.
All right, let's move along to the Chiefs. In round 1, pick number 6, all the way that they traded up there, they got Mansour Delane, the cornerback out of LSU, first cornerback taken in the NFL draft. Round 1, pick 29, lest we forget that they have 2 picks here. Peter Woods, the defensive tackle out of Clemson. And then, of course, in round 2, pick 40, they got Mason Thomas, the edge out of Oklahoma. The Chiefs had a pretty substantial offseason, which started out by bringing back Eric Bieniemy as offensive coordinator and trading away cornerback Trent McDuffie to the Rams for a total of 4 picks, including a first. The Chiefs also signed K9, the reigning Super Bowl MVP. And unquestionably, the biggest news this offseason for the Chiefs is the swift marriage between tight end Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Unquestionably. All right. I will go. I will have Luke go first here. What is your statement and thoughts on the Chiefs here, Luke?
My statement on the Chiefs here.
Careful, you're not allowed to curse.
I gotta put on my spectacles here. Older, slower, but one more run.
Ooh.
I think that this is a team that there was a lot of news. There was a lot of smoke this offseason. I don't think there was that much fire. Eric Bieniemy coming back is literally nothing. It is a nothing burger. He does nothing there, as evidenced by the fact of failing anytime he leaves Kansas City. I think that this is a team that is basically hoping that Rashee Rice can stay out of jail and stay on the field. It's a team that is hoping that Travis Kelce can actually play some good football before he retires. This is the team that's hoping Xavier Worthy can stay on the football field. This entire team is being held together by hopes and prayers and Andy Reid's final years as a head coach. I think that this is going to be it. I think this might be Kelce's last year. I think that this might be Andy Reid's last year.
Wow.
Patrick Mahomes probably is going to stay for another 4 or 5, if not
Probably.
Probably. But I think that you are going to see some dramatic changes coming from the Chiefs after this season. And I think that they are going to try their best to make the most out of this last run that they have going for them. Whether or not that ends successfully or not, I don't know. Because I don't think they really improved at all this offseason. I think they objectively probably just got worse. It's just a matter of whether or not the pieces that they have can be impactful rookies and can stay healthy on the field and stay out of a prison cell, And whether or not Patrick Mahomes can be Patrick Mahomes again, and that's going to kind of be their entire season in a nutshell. I'm not predicting them to win the division. I do think they will at least make a wild card, though.
Playoff Patty is my statement. Last year went to hell for the fatigued and injured Chiefs. And lest we forget, the Chiefs were all but mathematically eliminated from the playoffs even before Mahomes went down with a season-ending injury. However, I think the acquisition of Kenneth Walker is enough to offload the burden of offense from Mahomes, enough to make the Chiefs have a functional offense while Mahomes recovers through the season on his injury. Did you know Patrick Mahomes has never had a 1,000-yard rusher during his time as starting QB for the Chiefs? And how many times did the Chiefs get to the goal line and either they hand it to Kareem Hunt or throw it to a blanketed Kelsey? I got the Chiefs winning the division. So that is where I go. They are on a resurgence. Ralph, I go to you on the final word for the Chiefs.
I'm shocked that you have them winning the division.
I know. I don't love it, but it is what it is.
So my statement is the knee changes everything. And what I mean by that, of course, we all know Mahomes and what he's going through with his ACL and LCL and his left knee. This is not a minor offseason thing that happened. We don't know what we get back. When will his mobility return? Can he trust the knee? Will defenses play him differently because they don't feel he can do some of the things he's done in the past, which I think they might. His supporting cast has to make his life easier or else. I think he's at a point in his career now with this injury and going forward where he's going to start slowing down. That's just what happens with an injury like this. And I feel the Chiefs have to transition to a really Kenneth Walker heavy offense. I think that's really important. It's why they signed him. That scares me because Kenneth Walker has knee issues of his own, among other things. So it'll be a really interesting thing to see how Kenneth Walker can carry this offense for Patrick Mahomes. And I think that's what they need to happen to make a run. If Kenneth Walker cannot step into this role and do what he's expected to do, this is going to be a very bad season for the Chiefs. So this is one of those teams that has a huge upside and a huge downside. Like we talked about with some of the teams like the Vikings and stuff. This team could win 12, 13 games, win a division, and be a 2 or 3 seed in the playoffs. Or they could be a 6-7 win team and be looking at the playoffs at their couch. I'm going to say that I trust them to make one more little run. I'm going to trust Kenneth Walker to be Kenneth Walker of the Super Bowl. I'm going to trust Mahomes to be able to rely on him to do the things that he needs to do. And I'm going to trust that Andy Reid is the coach that we all know he is, and they find a way to win this division. So I'm kind of with you on that point.
All right. We're similarly. All right. The show is getting away from us, so we'll do this quickly. And it is not intentional. God, I love the Broncos. Broncos are the last team that we're talking about. Traded their first round, third and fourth round picks for Jalen Waddle. So in round 3, the only one of note, they had pick 66. First chance that they had this draft, they got Tyler Onyedem, the defensive tackle out of Texas A&M. The Broncos are the model of consistency, as besides the aforementioned trade for Waddle, they have made the moves to keep their AFC number 1 seeded team intact and run it back. It is perhaps worth mentioning that Davis Webb has been promoted to be offensive coordinator. Normally, this would seem inconsequential when the head coach is an offensive-minded guru. However, by all accounts, Peyton has ceded play-calling duties to the offensive coordinator Webb, so worth mentioning. I will start for us. I don't know if you guys are movie buffs, and if you've seen this little movie with Heath Ledger before, but it's called Bronco Back Mountain Top, in parentheses, just in parentheses. Because I can't quit this team. Defense wins championships, but defense is rarely repeat production in the NFL. And while there would be a question of why the Chiefs, why trust the Chiefs' injured quarterback to rehab more quickly and better than the Broncos, 1, the other quarterback is Patrick Mahomes, and 2, Bo Nix does rely on his mobility to help alleviate reads for himself in his young professional career to this point. I love the Broncos. Nobody can question that. Nobody. However, I can't be so disenchanted by a team that would have had Ralph quivering had the team been fully healthy and met his Seahawks in the Super Bowl. I have this team firmly in the playoffs after a rough beginning to the season with a real chance to go far come the playoffs. We're going to go to you, Ralph.
Are we going to go to me?
Yes.
Okay. My statement for the Broncos is...
Oh, I hate this. I knew it.
Yeah, they're not the sleeper anymore. They're actually who they are. People aren't going to be surprised by the Denver Broncos this year, so they're not going to sneak up on anybody. They're going to have to play the tougher schedule. Bo Nix is going to have to come back from his little cracking. My big concern for these guys, honestly, is can this defense play at the level they played at last year? Because they're going to need them to. If they can play at the level they played last year and Bo Nix can recover from his injury, obviously, then they're going to be right there in the mix again. Ceiling 14 wins with this team, maybe the number 1 seed, and a healthy run at the Super Bowl. But if Bo Nix, for some reason, maybe doesn't come back and can play like he did last year, or people have got him figured out, if the defense can't be the premier defense that they were last year, you're looking at a 9 to 10 win season and maybe fighting for a wild card spot, if at all. So this is another team that has a pretty big up and downside. But again, they're not going to take anybody by surprise. Everybody knows what they are. They saw what they did last year. Now it's really on, can Bo Nix be that guy again? And can that defense do what they've been doing? So, I mean, Sean Payton's put this team in a really good place. He's done exactly what he wanted to do. But now we'll see what happens.
Luke, for the final word.
Back-to-back division champs, baby. This team has definitely made strides offensively. The only thing I was scared of was Sean Payton's terrible play calling and the lack of pass catchers. They've addressed both of them. I really like Davis Webb. I hope that he's going to do a phenomenal job with play calling responsibilities. I hope to see a lot less screens.
Yes.
On the defensive side, they have been great. In terms of it's hard to repeat production, they have now had back-to-back years being third in scoring defense, and it's 3 out of the past 5 years. So they've shown that they can consistently have good defenses here. And if they can continue it up for another year, I think that they will be in a prime position to be able to repeat as division champs. That is what I'm going to be looking for. And I think their ceiling is Super Bowl winner.
Super Bowl winner. Has a nice ring to it. God, I would love that.
It's a nice fantasy.
I'm telling you, this show will crack upon its foundation if the Broncos and Seahawks meet in the Super Bowl.
Oh, I hope
it will. Oh my! I would lick the tears from Ralph's fake crying eyes as he tries to go for history and repeat and somehow lose yet again in the Super Bowl. Oh, I would love it.
You got to look at it this way: if you can make it to the Super Bowl, that's a big if. You're going to have to probably beat either the Seahawks or the Rams, because that's who will be sitting there waiting for you, and that is no easy task.
Not going to lie.
And they play both.
They do.
Year.
So we will have
Did they play the Seahawks last year and lose?
No. I don't remember that happening. I think you might be thinking of like 5 years ago when Russell Wilson first came over.
That was an awful one.
They played recently.
Well,
I'm pretty sure.
There we go. 8x8. It is always a fun drive down the highway of the NFL teams. Next week, we give you what you probably wanted all along. NFC West, baby. Woo! That's
the division right there.
That's a big one.
That's the big one. Well, everybody, thank you for joining. Thanks for listening to the show, giving us part of your weekend. And the Seahawks did beat the Broncos in 26-20. So let's not forget that.
24.
Yeah, who cares? Seahawks fans.
We remember, the past of the Super Bowl trophy that we just raised. Hey, thanks for joining. Have a great weekend, everybody. We will be back, same bad time, same bad channel, with the NFC West and the Super Bowl champion Seahawks. Don't forget to watch Hard Knocks. It's been pretty cool.
More like hard to watch.
Ciao.